Hello everyone! Welcome to Storytime with Miss Kathrin. I'm so glad y'all could join in. I'm going to be sharing a story from my favorite series, Tales That Tell the Truth. Today I'm going to be sharing Jesus and the Lion's Den, a true story about how Daniel points to Jesus. This is written by Alison and illustrated by Catalina Echeverri. All right, everyone, let's dive in. Did you know that the oldest stories in the Bible are a bit like puzzles? If you look very carefully, you can spot some Jesus moments. Those are moments when someone in the story is a little bit like Jesus. So this book is about the really exciting story of Daniel. But what makes it even more exciting is that you can spot Jesus moments in it too. There are lots of lions in the story, but every time you see this special lion, it's a clue there's a Jesus moment too. Are you ready to start the story? Let's begin. Do you have any habits? Maybe you like to sing in the bathtub, or twiddle your thumbs, or stick your finger up your nose. Yuck! This is a story about Daniel and his habit. It was a great habit, but it was a habit that got him into a lot of trouble. Daniel knew God, the real king of everyone and everywhere. Daniel loved God very much. So 3 times a day, Daniel knelt down by his window and he prayed. Prayer is talking to God. We can talk to him anywhere, anytime, and about anything. What a wonderful habit! How could that get anyone into trouble? Daniel worked for Darius, the super powerful king of Babylon. Daniel was so good at his job that the king wanted him to run the whole kingdom. But the other people who worked for King Darius didn't like Daniel, and they didn't like the God that he prayed to. So they decided to get Daniel into trouble with the king. There was just one problem with their plan. Daniel had done nothing wrong. Nothing. But then they thought of something. They could use Daniel's habit to get him into trouble. Daniel's enemies got King Darius to make a new law. It said that for 30 days, no one was allowed to pray to anyone except the king. And if anyone broke the law, they would be thrown into a den full of huge, hungry lions. Oh no! What would Daniel do? If he obeyed the king of Babylon, he would stay safe. But if he obeyed God, the real king of everyone and everywhere, he would keep praying. And that meant Daniel would be lion's food. Safety or lion's food? Which would Daniel choose? Daniel's enemies crept up to his house and looked up at his window. Daniel was praying. They'd caught him. The plan had worked. So they rushed back and told the king. Daniel was about to become lion's food. King Darius tried and tried all day to find a way to save Daniel, but he couldn't. Even the king wasn't able to change the law. So when the sun went down, Daniel was taken to a den of huge, hungry lions and thrown in. "I hope your God can save you," said the king. "Roar," said the lions. A big stone was rolled across the mouth of the den, and everyone went to bed. But the king, he couldn't sleep. He tossed and turned and turned and tossed all night long. In the morning, he rushed back to the den. "Daniel, has your God been able to save you from the lions?" asked the king. And then he listened. A voice came from the den. "Yes, O king, I am not hurt. God sent his angel to shut the lions' mouths. God saved me because I had done nothing wrong. Nothing." Daniel was lifted out of the den, and there wasn't even a scratch on him. Daniel had trusted God, and God had saved him. Then, because King Darius was such an important king, he wrote to all the people in all the countries in all the world. He said, "Daniel's God is the living God. He is the real king of everyone and everywhere forever and ever. He saves his people." The end. Whoops, nope. It isn't the end at all. It's time to spot some Jesus moments. Look back at the pictures in the book. There were lots of lions in this story, but did you spot the special lion? He appears every time there's a Jesus moment in the story. Each Jesus moment is a moment when Daniel is a little like Jesus, the Son of God. Did you find all 4? Here's what they mean. Daniel's enemies wanted to get rid of him, so they tried to get him in trouble. That's what Jesus' enemies did to him too. But in his job, Daniel had done nothing wrong. Nothing. His enemies had to invent a new law to get Daniel into trouble. In his whole life, Jesus had done nothing wrong. Nothing. So his enemies had to tell lies about Jesus to get him into trouble. When Daniel heard about his enemy's plan, he knew he was going to be arrested and thrown into the lion's den. What did he do? That's right, Daniel prayed. When Jesus knew he was going to be arrested and killed on a cross, what did he do? He prayed too. Did Daniel die in the den of lions? No, the lions were very hungry, and Daniel was as good as dead, but God, the real king of everyone and everywhere, brought Daniel out of the den. Did Jesus die on the cross? Yes. 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 Jesus really was dead, but then God brought his son out of death. And do you know something amazing? God promises to bring all of his son's friends out of death and into life with him too. Can God really do that? Yes, he can. He's done it before. So, one day, all of Jesus' friends will live with him forever and ever. And for now, we can enjoy the same habit Daniel did. We can talk to the real king of everyone and everywhere, every day. So, how do we know about Daniel and the lion's den? The exciting story of Daniel and the huge, hungry lions can be found in Daniel chapter 6 in the Old Testament part of the Bible. This true story is set in the time of King Darius, who was the king of the Persian Empire from 522 to 486 BC, before Christ. The Old Testament tells us about events that happened long before Jesus Christ was born, and yet the whole Bible is about Jesus. It was always God's good plan to send his son to live on earth, to die for our sins, and then to rise to life again. And God gave his people lots of clues about how this would happen. When we read Old Testament stories, we can look out for those clues. They are Jesus moments. Moments when someone in a story is a little bit like Jesus. Here are a few more stories from the Old Testament that you might like to read to see how someone in the story is a little like Jesus. Jonah and the great fish in Jonah 1 and 2. David and Goliath in 1 Samuel 17. Abraham and Isaac in Genesis 22. And Moses and the manna in the desert in Exodus 16. All right, everyone, thank y'all for joining in. Until next time, bye.